Wholeness means to me being in a state of joy.
Wholeness means feeling complete, owning my authentic gifts.
Wholeness is really connected. Everything is connected to everything.
Wholeness is where we have access to all parts of ourselves.
Okay, so I pulled a card for this podcast about grounding, and I really wanted the intention of our listeners. So this is for, if this sings to you or speaks to you, this is for you. So this is, of all the animals, a grouse. Like, I didn't really even know those existed, I don't think, until I moved to Utah. But I'm sure they have them everywhere. So, kind of what it said was, express yourself through rhythm and movement by drumming and dancing. Your first experience in life in a physical body was with rhythm and movement. The vibrations of your mother's heartbeat and her voice, the pulsing of her breathing, and the fluid movement of the placental sea that enveloped you. You would flow with the harmony or disharmony of her moods and movements. If you've ever tried drumming, dancing, or the two together, you know that they touch something very deep and ancient in us. And it just said that rhythm and movement draw out sensual expression and merge with the sensuous world around you. By allowing yourself to surrender to the pulse of whatever rhythm is guiding you, you connect more completely to your body. When you engage in some form of rhythmic dance on a regular basis, you'll feel more relaxed and in a flow of life. Doing so helps you recreate and tap into the sensations you felt in the womb. Revisiting that place of no thought, where the movement moves you effortlessly. So cut loose and enjoy yourself. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. I thought that really had to do with grounding personally,
Yeah.
because I was actually going to bring that up, is when I sometimes will go and just like the act of stamping my foot in the ground
Mhm.
just feels like I'm making my place and feeling grounded.
Yeah, totally. I love it. I know. And I think, was it last week's episode? No, 2 weeks ago episode with Elise, she's a
Mhm.
drummer. Like that's where she found her most. And she'll tell you, like, she's like, because your heart beats your very first drum,
Oh,
isn't that sweet? And
yeah.
and that's why it is grounding, because that drumming, I just thought of drumming, dancing. Yeah. So she's
I love
getting
it.
ready to record some like maybe like a drum circle for us, which will be so cool.
Oh, that
Yeah,
will be
like your
cool.
own little drum circle or whatever. So that'll be exciting. But
Love it.
yeah, that's awesome. Grounding, love grounding. And it's funny, as we've been focusing on grounding this month, I feel like I say the word a million times. And it's like I'm like, do people, get grounded? So I always like say, do I say get grounded? Hey, I'm gonna ground myself, like what does that mean? And in fact, when you Google it, if you Google grounding, this is the definition. It says, grounding is a general discipline technique in the United States and Canada and other countries, which restricts children at home from going out or pursuing their favorite activities, except for any obligations.
Oh my gosh, I would love to be grounded.
I know, right? I know. Do you know what's funny? My mom used to call it campus. Like,
Really?
I don't know what era she came from,
Hmm.
but it was like campus. And I was only campused once for like a couple hours because I
That's
was
because you were the youngest.
youngest.
That's why.
But I
I was
remember like,
a lot. I was the oldest.
yeah. I was like, what? Campus? What's that?
Yes. Hmm.
Isn't that funny? Like I'm on
Mhm.
campus, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, it makes sense, but
Yeah. Yep.
different.
So this is what was interesting. Grounding, this is another definition I loved, but means to be in subtle, natural electrical connection with the earth. That's from harmony783.com. I thought that was
Huh.
an interesting way of saying it. Or grounding is highly connected to the earth or the physical world. That was another definition.
The
But
electric part is what gets me. I don't
okay.
understand that.
Okay,
Like,
so let me tell you, this is
okay.
kind of cool. So our bodies have an electrical system, right? When you shock somebody, you witness that electrical system, or when you get shocked, okay? That's the
Okay.
that's like the positive and negatives like reacting together, kind of, right?
Okay.
So we usually carry an excess of positive. So remember back in junior high, there's like electrons and protons. And electrons are negatively charged and protons are positively charged. And we usually carry an excess of those protons because because living, breathing, sleeping, eating, digesting, diminishes electrons for some reason. I don't know why. And so we usually like lose a little bit of our electrons, so we're positively charged, like most of the time. And that's why it's like sometimes, yeah, you get that shock. Well, the earth is negatively charged. And like there's like, so like, when you go to like the waterfalls and your hair starts to like stick up straight because there's so many ions in the air that it's electrically charged, right? And so when we go outside and we're grounding, those the electrically charged earth or the ions help neutralize our excess of positive ions. And so we become stable. You're grounded, right?
Okay.
And if that's so, another way that people have been popular lately of saying that is that there's inflammation. Inflammation is really when we've got when we're charged, right? When we're kind of charged out. So it's known as the silent killer, this inflammation, because it's related to so many chronic diseases.
Oh, yeah.
And but this is what was interesting is in this article that I was reading is it's like, think about it. Animals don't have these diseases quite the same as we do because they're outside a lot is, one of the theories, right? That they don't have this balance. They don't have the inflammation like we do. So they always seem to be grounded because they're outside a lot. So,
Yeah.
so a little more background, just, so where it came from was in the first places they found them is like ancient Chinese references to qi. So we're mostly familiar with the idea of qi, which is like the living essence of ourselves, but there's also qi. Well, actually, qi is Japanese, qi is Chinese, so it's qi, but it's spelled qi. That's why I always get confused. But it's qi. Okay, I'm saying it right. So
But are
qi,
they different things? Or they're the same?
So Japanese qi, like as in Reiki, qi is the same thing as Chinese qi. So qi and qi, they're just Chinese, Japanese. So, but like this idea of qi, it's this principle understanding of the way we work, and it's regarded as like the natural force energy. So in the world. But I thought that was interesting. So in Chinese medicine, there's heaven qi, which is made up of forces that the heavenly bodies exert on the earth, such as sunlight, moonlight, and the moon's effect. So they would call that like heavenly qi. So the energy that's from the moon that affects the waves is heavenly qi. Then there's earth qi, which is controlled by the heavenly qi, and it is made up of lines and patterns of energy as well as the earth's magnetic field. So, and the heat underground. So like the earth, like the elements of the earth, get a little wind, is heaven chi, so I'd never heard this before, or earth chi, sorry. And then within the earth chi is individuals, animals, and plants. They also have their own chi field. So all natural things grow and are influenced by the natural cycles of heaven chi and earth chi. So when we go outside, we're getting a little bit of both of those things. So that's why it kind of like invigorates us, right? It's kind of wild. And
so it's not speaking to like spiritual or like celestial, meaning the moon and the sun and the stars.
So the heaven is heaven is sun. Heaven chi is sun, moon, stars kind of a thing. And then earth chi is like, it's like the I would assume it's like the elements, like the wind and the rain, and hopefully if somebody has any better, if this is, like leave us a comment if it's like, no, that's not right at all. But yeah, so naturally going outside, you're gonna, you're living in like the energy of heaven and earth chi, the living, breathing elements of it is. So I mean, that to me, that just sounds invigorating right there. It's like, ooh, I got like, it sounds so great, like heaven chi. There's heaven chi when I sit out in the sun, and then the wind is the earth chi, kind of a thing is how I kind of interpreted it. But I'll have to put a post out and kind of describe that a little more. But so there's been several people that have kind of championed it, and one of the guys that was kind of famous for it, his name is Clint Ober. I hope I say that right. And what was interesting about him is he was, he had a really successful career in cable. When cable was first starting, he like was the big cable company. And then he got diagnosed with this horrible liver disease, and a lot of doctors told him, like, you're not going to make it. But there was one doctor that said, no, we're going to take away some of your liver, and we're going to try and save your life. So he had a successful operation. And when he walked out the door and was healthy again, he kind of had this feeling like, well, I got a second chance on life. I got to figure out my life. So he like sold his house and got an RV and just traveled around kind of trying to find what his purpose was. And one day he was down in Sedona, of course. Have you ever been to Sedona? Yeah.
I
And
haven't, but I know about it.
we got to go. Yeah. Like you'll know, you've been there. You're like, okay, this is different. But he was sitting there in Sedona and he just looked around and he's like, oh my gosh, everybody has grounding, or everybody has insulators on. They're walking around with a bunch of insulators on because their shoes insulate them. And he knew that because okay, so before cable, when you just have your little antenna and there's like static and stuff like that, the static is the electrons and the protons messing around in the air that mess up with your picture. But cable, the reason why cable was so much better is because they wrapped it up in this plasticky stuff and they grounded it. And that's why you could get such a clear picture. That was the difference, was grounding. So he just went bing, like he just had this idea. He's like, it just kind of clicked in his mind. It's like, there's disruption going on. I know about that disruption. So he took some of his own money. He tried to get other people to help him, but he took his own money and he started doing these experiments. And what he would do is he'd go into people's home. He had, the first one was 60 people, and it was people with lower back pain and they couldn't sleep very well. And he just took like a wire. He took like I don't know what it was made out. It was a grounding like mat that he kind of invented. And he took like a wire and he would put it out their window and ground it to the earth. And then, but some of them, he would put like an insulator there or a disruptor so it wasn't grounded. And then he just checked in on them. But I was astounded. This is what he got out of it was, okay, so about half of them he did. So they didn't know if they were grounded or not. But when they went back to these people, so they said the time falling asleep, the people that were grounded, the time it took for them to fall asleep improved by 85.2%.
Wow.
And only, right, 13% for ungrounded. I know, I was like, where? So this guy actually owns, I think it's like grounded.com, or I put it in the notes. He's the guy that started that word grounded, kind of a thing. And okay, the quality of sleep improved 92.6% for grounded, and the same 13. I thought this was interesting. All the people that still improved and they weren't grounded, it was the same exact number. So those 13%, they were just happy-go-lucky people on their own. They were just positively minded because it was the same every time. Okay, the wake up rested. So the people said that 100% of the grounded people woke up more rested. They're resting improved. They woke up better. And the same 13, without being grounded. And then muscle stiffness and pain improved 81.5% for the grounded and 0% improvement for the ungrounded. So that's pretty intense, like a little study, like that's a big difference in these people that slept grounded.
Yeah. Have you seen the companies that sell like the grounding mats that you put on your
I've
bed?
heard of them. I think that's him.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
And so along with that, I was watching some video. My mom is a gardener. She likes to grow vegetables and I pretend like I do, but I saw this video of this guy that puts copper coiled wire into his plants because he said that the energy that comes in there, like the world is made of, energy, and the energy in the air will help your plants grow. And he said he's had a better yield because of that. So she's trying it. And then my mom was like, well, if it's going to help plants, what if I wear a copper bracelet? So she's experimenting on her own. I guess I'll let you know how that turns out, but
nice.
Fascinating.
Yeah. And that's why we're outside, even though we might get some wind or some, it might be a little, we get the little fun hairdos, but I think it was great. I think it was your idea to go outside. And I think it's true because like, don't you just feel a little lighter being outside, even just
I'm not as stressed. Yeah.
right. And I mean, like, it might not be like all my problems are gone, but there is a difference outside.
It is.
There is a difference. But we got on. So that's kind of the background, but usually grounding is helpful for pain. They say that wounds respond differently when you do grounding methods. Like it's big, better sleep, better mood, better blood flow.
I wonder if it would help with like restless leg.
Ooh,
I know a
really
lot of people that
interesting.
suffer from that, and it kind of seems like it fits right into that whole
Totally.
thing.
Totally. You're right. Totally. You're right. But what was your thoughts about grounding, or like, when did you, first of all, have you, when did you learn about grounding? It's been in the,
I
like,
don't know.
not that long ago for me.
No, I don't think it's that long ago. And first it was kind of like a term of like, okay, like I don't know what you mean.
Right.
And
Tree hugger. Tree hugger was like the word for it. You're like a tree hugger.
yeah, and I remember my friend telling me one time, like, we have to go clear all the positive ions. I remember she did say that. She didn't use grounding, but she kind of used that phrasing of like, you got to get outside because it does kind of set you at a zero, kind of puts you back at neutral.
Yep.
And I was talking to my therapist about being at a high level of stress for a while because work kind of got really stressful, and then I come home and it's not necessarily stress, there's chaos. And so I never felt like I would ever like fully get down to the bottom. And I guess kind of what I thought of as grounding is like coming back to myself. I don't, that sounds different a little bit, but
Totally.
can you give me a tool? Because like people say like, okay, you need to reduce your cortisol, you need to get, grounded, or you need to get, I was like, but nobody tells me how to do it. Besides, I can walk outside, but to me, I still don't always, it's not available, first of all,
Right.
sometimes. Second of all, doesn't always do what I need. Anyway, she talked about something called TIP. Have you heard of that?
No, I want to hear
So
it.
it's temperature, intense exercise, breathing, and exercising every part of your body. So the other P is like physical, and I can't remember what the P where you're breathing. But anyway, it started with a P. I'll see if I can find, like I said, make a post or like for it. But getting into a temperature, like holding an ice cube or taking a cold shower or dipping your face into cold water, like can reset you, which water is of the earth. So that's grounding.
Yep. Totally.
And then intense exercise for like 15 minutes, she said. Breathing. And the only thing that she said really mattered was that you're breathing out longer than you're breathing in. I thought was interesting. So she said, breathe it in for 6, hold it for 6, and breathe out for 8. But she said that formula doesn't really matter just as long as like you're breathing out slow, like through a straw. Then the last part was exercising or flexing every big part of your body, starting your feet, working up to your head. So you like flex your foot, and then you flex your calf, and then you flex your thigh, and work all the way up into your head. And she said that will like kind of bring you back to baseline, or at least close to it. And so I guess as I think of grounding for me personally is getting out of this, like when I feel like everything that is controlling me out here, when I want to control in here, and bringing myself back to myself. And that may not be the technical, definition of grounding, but I feel like there's so many things pulling me in all these different directions, and pulling my thoughts, and pulling my, my emotions everywhere, that if I can pull back into myself, then I do feel more centered and grounded.
It's funny because I have a hypothesis. What's the hypothesis? Is that the word? Because like, so, when what she's saying is it gives you all these different ways of doing it. But I always wonder, like, because, in the Enneagram, you have the body, you have heart or emotion, and you have thinking. And I feel like somebody that's in the body area, they're going to want the intense workout. Like that's what's going to bring them kind of, they're going to like using the body to ground is going to be helpful. If you're in the emotion side of it, it's going to be more like getting stabilized, your emotions, feeling safe, feeling like calm.
Yeah.
And then in the mind area, it's going to be like your mind's not racing, you're focused, you can come back to focus. It's more of like your mind's racing a million miles an hour,
Yeah.
I wonder, that's what I think. That's just what I wonder. Because for me, I'm like, yeah, I'm not a body person. Because a big intense workout, like, no, that's not calming to me at all.
Oh,
Like,
interesting.
not
Okay.
at all. Like, that's like, what? I mean, I could do slow body things, but an intense one, I'd be like, it would like beef me up. I'd be like, oh,
Well, she was saying that you transform your anxiety into energy and get it out of your
yeah,
body.
I could
That's
see that. I could
cool.
see that. I
But
mean,
you wouldn't have to do super crazy. You could still walk probably
that's
and do
true. I have noted I'm like, we need to get a punching bag. Like, I could do a punching bag. That's true. I could be like, let me paste a picture up here and then let it out.
Yeah, we could all use that. That's why
Yeah.
those breaking rooms, glass rooms,
Oh yeah.
where you
Uh-huh.
go break
Yeah.
things. I can see that being really helpful sometimes.
Yeah. I could see it too. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. We've taken old stuff at our house, like instead of taking them to like Goodwill or whatever, it's like, let's just go break them in the street. Like, and you go let out your steam. Like, yeah, man. Some of
That's
those hand-me-downs you get from grandma are
oh
like
yeah.
not beautiful,
Like
not your
no one wants
favorite.
this.
Yeah. Yep.
One more thing too, when I was thinking about grounding is, did you watch, was it Down to Earth with Zac Efron on Netflix?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, you remember when they went to France and
The
they were
water.
like pulling into town? No, it wasn't the water.
Oh,
Well, that was the episode, yes.
okay. Okay.
But he was like, Kate, we're getting out of the taxi really quick. We've got to go walk in the earth. And he's like, what? And he's like, take off your shoes and we're going to walk in the grass. And he said that will help acclimate you to being in a different country, being in a different time zone. That will help set you up for success. It's like,
That's right.
yeah, I love that. I'm going to try that next time I get to go to.
That's a great idea. Yeah, I totally remember that. I totally remember that. You're right. That's awesome. Well, yeah. So, um, some of the things I looked up some ideas. So Gabby Bernstein is, she talks a lot about grounding, and some of the ways she said to get grounded were just do a body scan, which is similar to like what I think it's like maybe you don't hold the muscles, but you're just scanning your body and seeing where the stress is in your body, a body scan. Another one was a loving kindness meditation, which we have on the Wholeness Network. There is a loving kindness meditation you can listen to. She said to sit on the ground and drink tea or your favorite drink, which I
Sit on the
love
ground.
because yeah, sit on the ground and I like the little have a treat or something. It's like make it a ritual. It's not just sitting there, but like, you know, drinking your little drink or having a little treat just kind of adds to it. She says do something routine, fold your laundry, weed the garden, knit, sew, something that's just routine can bring you back to grounding. And then she thought this was one. She also talked about watching an uplifting content or feel good, movie is grounding. And then, but this last one I thought was really some wise advice. And she says, so she was talking to her own mentor and she was like talking about spiritual things. And she's like, what do I do next? And for her, spiritual things are like prayer, meditating, things like that. And so she's like, what do I do next? And she says, I expected her to tell me to do the next spiritual thing. And instead she told me to go get ice cream. And she's like, I had all the tools, but what I needed in that moment wasn't another breathing technique or a meditation or an affirmation. I needed to chill out with some ice cream. If you feel like you're doing all the spiritual things and want to know what's next, here's what's next. Go eat some ice cream and let me know how it goes, is what she says on her website. And I think that's true. Like, I think sometimes we're like, I'm not okay. Like, what do I need? There's something wrong with me. I got to do something. You know what I mean? And I think it's important to leave room for like, what I need to do is just be okay with myself. You know what I mean? Just what do I need? And if it's like ice cream, okay, it does not have to be some like mind-blowing, meditation. It can be those moments of just things you enjoy or things like take a break, do nothing, take a nap, leave rooms for that type of situation where it's like, girl, just you don't need to do anything. That's why, because sometimes wanting to make ourselves be okay all the time is in itself its own stress, right? It can make us very ungrounded at times to be like, well, I'm not feeling all, I'm not feeling all perfect right now. Something's wrong, and I've seen that in people, like, and there's going to be days that aren't great. So, and that's okay. That's okay too.
Yeah. Well, somebody asked on Reddit, I'm interested to know if you guys have any concrete ways to ground yourself in quotation marks, i.e., realizing that you don't need much to be happy or that there's much to be thankful for the present time. Answer 1. Have you heard of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? 5, acknowledge 5 things around that you see. It could be a pen, a spot on the ceiling, anything in your surroundings. Acknowledge 4 things you can touch. It could be your hair, a pillow, or the ground under your feet. Acknowledge 3 things that you hear. It could be an external sound. You can hear your belly rumbling. Focus on things that you can hear outside of your body. Acknowledge 2 things you can smell. Maybe you're in your office and smell pencil, or maybe you're in your bedroom and can smell a pillow. If you need a brief walk to find a scent, you could smell soap in your bathroom or nature outside. Acknowledge 1 thing you can taste. What does the inside of your mouth taste like? That's so
Yeah.
interesting to me. Gum, coffee, or the sandwich from lunch. This gets you out of your mind and into your sensory experience. It's often suggested as the technique to reduce anxiety, but I find it helps with the mindfulness and just getting you into the moment as well. So kind of that same, like that tip thing, you're just kind of getting
Yeah.
outside of your anxiety.
Yeah. I put in a post about that, because this was a technique I'd learned a while ago, but it's like nice because you just have 5 hands, 5 fingers. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, do this. And it's just kind of getting your mind thinking about something else and so that's nice. And also, because the thing is one thing to notice is whether, no matter what we're doing, our brain is taking in information. It's taking information. So your brain knows what it tastes like in your mouth. Your brain knows what it's like listening and hearing and touching. Do you know what I mean? So if you start to just name what it is, you know what I mean? It's taking that data and it's filing that data away, whether you're conscious of it or not. That subconscious is on alert. So this is just one way of bringing it into the conscious. And then once it's in the conscious, it's like it can go away, right? That's express. That's the energy that can express. Otherwise it's just in your mind. So that's what's helpful about this. And so if you go to our social media, I sent out, and you can even go and there's a download of it, but yeah, there's 5 things, and that's what you can remember, just 5 things you can see. Just think about, because it's easier to things you see. And then like the last one's taste, because there's not very many things you can see. Like
Yeah.
You're not gonna get, yeah. But that you can see in your peripheral, like just in your vision, so, but that's what's helpful about it, because you're picking up that data, whether you know it or not. That data is automatically there. So, yeah.
I love that. I need to teach that to my kids.
Yeah, really easy. And then for me, I did that so in that thing, then the breathing is 5 breaths in, hold it for 5 breaths, 5 breaths out. It's usually 4, but just to keep it simple, because it's all on your hand, I just added 5. But that's just a simple technique, like really simple, easy.
It doesn't take very long either.
Yeah. Yep. And you can do it inside your own mind.
Yeah.
So
I love that. Okay, so we got answer 2. My morning mantra is, I'm the best father I can be, I'm the best husband I can be, and I'm doing the best that I can for my life right now.
Yeah, I thought that was sweet that it's the dad, it like has to, and the thing is what's not said in that answer is like all those things that he's telling himself are things he's worried about, right? Like,
yeah, that's true.
It says a lot. So good job that dad.
Yeah. Answer 3, install ad blockers, place phone on do not disturb, limit attention towards news and social media outlets. And I notice, I don't know if it's a personality, I don't know if it's the age that we live in, but I heard one time, we've got to stop researching. And I feel like my life is one big research, right? I want to know the answer to whatever question I have in my mind right now. And I have to answer everybody else's questions too. And I'm always like just plugged in because I just want to know right now. And I think it takes away the wonder a little bit, takes away that, I don't know, there's distance in between asking a question, answering a question. And I don't know what that space in between means, but I think that there's something to be said for that.
I think you're right. I really do. I think you're right. Yeah. No more is it like, what was the name of that thing? And it would take you days. Now it's like, you just Google it.
I know. I purposefully one day, because I'm always that way, like I'll watch a TV show and be like, oh, that guy's from another show. I gotta go look and see what it was.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Yes, I do
I
that all the time.
I purposely told myself, no, you are not
Mm.
going to do that. You're going to be in the moment, enjoy the show. And honestly, within halfway through the show, I remembered what it was and it was fine. And I was able to just not have to do so many things at once.
Right. You're better than me. I look.
That was one time. One time. So,
Good job.
and
Good job.
then, yeah, thank you. And then answer 4 is I'm going to start sleeping without my phone in my room so I won't immediately wake up and use my phone. Ugh.
Mm.
I think about it. I don't do it, but I think about not getting on my phone right away.
You know, I took a class. Well, and what I thought was interesting in some of these answers that I see is like they really do talk about what's going on in their lives, you know, because that's really nice. You know, that's just really interesting where people's different perspectives come in. And I was taking a class once, and the teacher said something so impactful that it has stuck. And it said, you know, but it was like, you know, when you wake up in the morning and you're just having that new energy and your day is just starting. And she said, imagine when you open your phone and look at your email, you've just invited whoever is in that email into your space. You
Into
know,
bed
like,
with you. Yeah.
yes, into bed with you, into your space. And so if you're looking at Instagram and there's 50 million, you know, like think about all those people you're letting into your space just right when you wake up. And so she challenged us to wait 10 minutes is all, just 10 minutes when you wake up, not to grab your phone and do your phone thing. And that's a little easier for me, but it was impactful because I'm like, you're right, you know, because sometimes you're like getting that hard email or that difficult text or whatever. And it's like, it can shift you really fast in those first
True.
few moments of waking up. And so it's just letting yourself say, okay, this is for me. Nobody's invited. And then it's also like a transition to be like, hey, I'm inviting someone in.
So do you remember what you used to do before we had phones when you woke up? I can't remember. I was trying to like think about what did I do? Like I pushed my alarm. Did I just stare at the ceiling? I don't know.
I don't know how I fell asleep either. Like, it's like we just sat there and fell asleep. Like, what kind of a crazy making is that? Yes. So there's much improvement for myself in that area, technology for sure. And I like, oh, the resistance in me, I can feel it where it's like, no, I don't want to just not do that, you know, like,
Oh,
yeah. So that's something that we're gonna, you know, I think we'll figure out the impact of that probably someday, you know, someday.
we are feeling it. We are
Yeah,
feeling
I think you're right. We're just not connected it. We just haven't connected it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, well, I think one thing that's really the thing that we need to kind of talk about at least finishing this up is we just have to make known, you know, what are the things that make us feel ungrounded. Like that's something to really be to important thing because it's like, you know, what pulls us what pulls us out, you know, besides just the depleting of our negative charge, right? There are things that pull us out and make us feel ungrounded. And so some things that I thought of is trying to accomplish too many things at once. That will pull me, you know, if you've got so much on your plate, you're not feeling balanced, right? You're not feeling grounded. And so we just have to be mindful of that, right?
Okay.
Mindful of that, which is totally closely tied to being overcommitted, you know, to being overcommitted. Another thing is like having to operate at different levels throughout the day, like shifting from detail-oriented work to a more strategic work. And I know this all too well. My husband's a programmer, a coder. And I mean, they're like typing in like garbage. Have you ever seen a piece of code? It is like a jumbled mess of garbage. It's no words. And so he'll be sitting there typing and he says, it's like my worst pet peeve when somebody will come up and like ask me a question and you're just like, what? Like, I'm not in English right now. You know, I'm not, I am in code. And I get that too. You know, moms, you've gotten that when you're like in the middle of like doing something and your kid comes ask you a question and just like, it just ungrounds you very quickly. It's like, I don't know what's going on. You're untethered even a
That's
little
my
bit.
meanest mom. I think when I'm trying to get something done and someone comes and asks me a question. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It just takes you out like that for sure. Another one is getting overwhelmed by emotions or thoughts. Think about this, like when there's a death in the family, you're not going to be grounded. When especially that period of time from the death and the funeral. I mean, when both of my parents have passed away, when people close to me have passed away, like those days just are blurs. They are just a different time of living, so I just wanted to point that out a little bit because give yourself grace during those times, or when we've got somebody in the hospital, you know what I mean, when you're waiting on a diagnosis. Like, these are what makes those things really difficult, is because it's hard to be grounded in those times because it's just so much going on. And then I thought this was a good one: finding yourself in a situation that doesn't align with your values, goals, and purpose. And you get the heebie-jeebies or whatever, like that's going to unground you when you're just like, this is not in alignment with me. And then, of course, preparing or having to give a presentation or speech. Like, that's going to maybe unground you for some people. Like it's like, kind of chaos. Like, I don't know about you, but getting ready to record today, you're like, I'm not like, like it's like rushy and like, and
Yeah.
that's the thing, is like just kind of recognizing that it's going on, is just a part of it, of letting yourself be grounded in the ungroundedness. Is just recognizing this right now, I'm not very grounded. That's it.
Yeah. So then what are some things you do in those situations to get grounded again?
So the first thing I will do when I'm really feeling it, I go get in the bath and I get some Epsom salts and then maybe some essential oils. And the bath is the best way for me. It like recenters me. But my natal chart is lots of water, so that serves me.
Oh,
So that's
yeah.
another thing. Yeah, we have these elements. So I'm water, there's air, there's earth, and there's fire. So if you're a fire, you're probably going to want to go on a big run, like maybe more of a run. If you're an air, you're going to breathe. Some breathing techniques is going to be great.
So irritating. I'm air, and I'm like, that is so uninteresting. I'm like, I don't just want to breathe, but
yeah, but breathing, but also like I would like get a fan, turn a fan on,
okay.
and just like, for me, it could be like a super heavy one where it's like, okay, now I'm like trying to just like blink, and now I'm not worried about my other stuff. Because the air,
Yeah.
just a fan, just use the air, or just something that's weightless. You could think of something weightless. So some
I like
soft
that.
ice cream, something really
That's cool.
really soft. And then earth, you're going to go outside, you're going to use a rock or something like that, I would say. So find
Okay.
out your sign, find out what's your sign is, and you've got your ascendant, which is more about who you are, your sun sign, which is what everybody says. So your birthday is usually your sun sign.
Yeah.
And then your moon sign, and really kind of the moon is more about your emotions. So anyway, I have a card deck I'm working on that kind of explain all these things, because I think it's valuable to know about yourself, what's happening. It's helpful to know what's happening
Yeah.
in
Oh,
yourself.
I love
So,
that. I
yeah.
love that.
What?
So as I was thinking, I was thinking, I want to find an essential oil blend that would be grounding. And there are ones that I think are specifically, but does it make sense to you that if it's from the earth, then it would be grounding?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
really anything that speaks to you, I feel like could be grounding.
Could be grounding. Yeah. Usually they're trees or root blends that would be considered grounding. But of course, I think you're right. I mean, it comes from the earth.
Yeah. Ylang ylang was like one of the most popular ones, and that's a flower. But
Oh,
I don't know. They said that it's the flower of the flower, that it represents both the male and female. So I wonder if that is more grounding too, because it's got those properties.
well, and if you think about it, I mean, the idea of grounding is just being centered, being calm. You know what I mean? And that's like every essential oil's, emotional goal.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
So,
And then I was thinking also about like having crystals or rocks.
yep.
I found when we went to that synchronicity store, one of the ones I got was tiger's eye, red tiger's eye.
Yes, that's very
And it is
grounding.
for ground. Yeah, balancing, promotes optimism, psychic ability, intuition.
Nice.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
it. So
Is
put it in
is
your
it
pocket.
brown? Is it like brownish, yellowish?
This is oh, sorry. This is tiger's eye. Did I say red?
No,
Okay, I lied. This is gold tiger's eye.
yeah, just
I don't know if
tiger's
you can
eye.
see,
Yeah.
it's really small,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Could be paused.
the stone of courage. So
Nice. Awesome. Well, yep. And that, so yeah, I would love for people to let us know what their grounding tools are, you know?
and even if they didn't know it was grounding, maybe they do know now
Exactly.
that what they're doing is grounding.
Yeah. What calms you down? What do you do to get back into balance? You know, I'd love to hear. I'd love to know. And there is a video in the library about getting grounded. There is that video, or there is that loving kindness video or meditation that's there. And what else? Oh, and then there's, if you search for Nacho Aramani, he did a whole concert for us, and it was all these different kinds of drums, and people really enjoyed it, like physically enjoyed it, not just musically, like it was just like relaxing for them. So that's in there
If you
as
were
well.
watching the video, would you put like headphones on to feel it a little bit better?
Yeah, probably
Okay. Oh, okay.
a little bit. I mean, you would feel it better definitely if you had headphones on. But yeah, yep, it's like 45-minute long music, so
Wow.
it's awesome. In fact, I need to make an audio version of that. I'm going to do that.
Well, yeah, that's a
Switch
great
this to-
idea.
Yeah.
Play it on the app while you're doing other stuff. That's
Yes.
a
Yeah.
good idea.
Yeah. So cool. Well, that's grounding. Hope
Yeah.
you get grounded. Not the
I am
bad
right
kind.
now. I'm outside.
It's so nice. It's a great day. Look at the blue sky. I mean, it's
I know.
gorgeous.
When most people are asked what they want, they will answer, I want to be happy. But happy takes practice. And that's what the Wholeness Library is all about. So check it out free at thewholenessnetwork.com.